Alright guys, cool. So in the previous part we did discuss what architecture we are going to follow and we have set it up our virtual environment. In this part we are going to first of all let me show you. In the previous part I told you to initialize git repository in your project. So you can simply say git download. I'll also paste that link in the description also for Mac, Windows, Linux. And next in the GitHub let me also initialize a repository, new repository. I will say new repository will be, what should we call it? We'll say end-to-end scraper. We'll say like this, scraper, end-to-end scraper. Is it a good name? Oh, end-to-end scraper, data science master project. Yeah, that's a good name. Okay, we can say, we'll say create repository, and then here are some command. We'll initialize it. Let me save it for future time. And I open also request and BeautifulSoup library. We'll need that. So let me show you. When we are building a scraper, what we have to do is, here is our project directory. I'll open it with Visual Studio Code. Okay, so here is our virtual environment. So next what we want is, first of all we want to build a scraper. So we'll say the scraper dot py. Okay, so first of all we need two important libraries for scraping any kind of data. For first of all we'll need requests, and second of all we'll from bs4 we need to import beautiful soup. So these are the two dependencies that we need at this particular point of time. So we'll say, first of all we have to activate our virtual environment. How do we do that? We will say what was our environment name? Environ slash backslash scripts slash activate. So we'll do that, and we'll say pip install bs4. And one other thing, I've already installed it, so pip install requests. So that is also already installed in my system because I install it. These are not built-in libraries, so you have to install it, and then we'll import it like that. We'll say import request and BeautifulSoup. So now let me show you what we are scraping. Let me remove this. Anyways, so what we are doing, first of all, from this URL, here is a list of 100 books. Our objective was to scrape book data and do some analysis on it and build a recommended system with it. So first of all we need some data, and this link I found, these are the 100 books from various genres. So what we'll do is we'll try to scrape the titles of these books and try to store it in a text file. Why we are doing that? Because once we have their name, because let me show you, if we click this Pride and Prejudice, because I think I have told you, but anyways, there are four things that we want to build the recommended system that we are going to build. We want four things, like first is title, second is author, third is rating, and fourth is genre. So here we can see three things are present out of these four, but the genre is not present. So let me open this link of this particular book, and here we can see we have these information: author, title, ratings, and here is a genre. So I think this genre is decided by like how many user classified it as classic, how many said it is fiction. So we want the first one. So these are the first four things that we want, and now how are we going to get it? So first of all we are going to store the name of these lists. So we can see here, when we click this, the for all the books URL is kind of same. Let me open these three books. We can see a pattern here: good books, goodreads.com/book/show. and then the name of the title and some kind of ID related to that book. So how we can find this ID? So we can see here, we can open up the console by pressing F12, and we can click here and we'll point it towards this title, and here we can, and when we click it, it will open up here. So we can see that heading is stored, Pride and Prejudice is stored in a span element, and the item prop is name, role is equals to heading, and something something. So for any else, or for any other title, we can simply check that. Same here, it is the title is stored in span element, role is equals to heading. So that's we are focusing on. And another thing, when the main thing that we want, because we can see this URL is same for any book, and now this part is different. So now here we can see, rather than focusing on this part, we can simply focus on this anchor tag element. So we will see, so the A and the class is book title, and the href, we just want this part. So we'll store this part in a text file, and we'll try to scrape this data. And how are we going to do this? We are going to do this with the help of request library and BeautifulSoup. So let me open this. So what I'll say, r is equals to requests re, oops, request dot get, and here I'll pass the URL. So let me copy the URL of this, copy, and I'll paste it here, and we'll say if everything is okay. If everything is okay, let me print it r dot status code. So let me run this script and see what happens. It is running. Please output something. Okay, so 200 is the response code that it is printed. That means we are successfully in requesting this URL with the help of request library. Okay, so then what we want is, we want a object of BeautifulSoup. So we'll say BeautifulSoup, and we'll pass this r element r.text, because we want the source code of this file, and we'll pass it with lxml. Okay, everything is looking fine. So another thing, we have to install pip install lxml. This is the another dependency that we have to install. I have already installed it. Okay, so next what we want is, see for soup is the BeautifulSoup object is working. So soup dot find all, we can say, and we wanted anchor tag. So that's how we are saying. We are saying, so BeautifulSoup object, please find all of the anchor tags, and specifically that anchor tags whose class is. So we can say it like this, because class is already a keyword. So that's why the keyword here is find all is class underscore, or another way which in which we can pass this argument is class. You can pass a dictionary in where class is, what is the class? Book title. So that's how we can pass, and we'll see it like this. We'll store it in a book list equals to okay, and now we'll print the book list. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. Let me run this. From where I have collected all this information? From here. I have already seen that. Okay, so the anchor tag contains the book anchor tag, which whose class is book title, contains this reference to another URL, because ultimately we want to get here, because we also want to extract this genre. Okay, so let me run this and see what is the output. Okay, so it has given me all the anchor tag which whose class is book title. So we can, another thing what we want is, okay. So here we can see it has printed the whole tag, but we only wanted this href part, the value of this href part. So we can say here for link in book list, or we can say for book in book list, what we want is book. We can href, we want this href only, so we'll say it like this. We only want, so rather we'll save it in a text file altogether. Okay, with open we'll open up book or all books dot txt in this txt file, and we'll open it with in write mode, and we'll say as f, and we'll put this loop inside here, and we'll say for book and books is what we want is f dot write book dot href. So what it will do is, it will, let me first of all show you what it is doing, then we'll store it in a file. So let me uncomment this for book and book list. Let me also correct the indentation. Okay, so I'll say print. So now let me move forward, and here, okay, so now we can see we have this one. Okay, so now we can move forward. Yeah, now we can, let me delete this and uncomment this and run this whole script again, and then this will store, then this will create a new, we can see here all books. Oops, rather we should have done it like this. We should have said plus book ref plus a new line character with \n, because here what it did was it printed it in a single line. We don't want it, we want it in a new line. Okay, let me save this and run again, and surely it will work. It's done, I guess. Okay, now it is done, and now we can move forward to the next part. And let me store everything in get books. We'll store it in a function. Okay, so get books. Okay, everything is looking fine. Now let me move forward to a new function, which for that we'll say get book data. Here we'll say something. What we'll say, let me show you here. So we have stored all the, with this part we have saved in a text file. So now we just want to iterate through this text file that we have created, and open the URL, open this URL, and then get some data. So let me first of all get a data from for a single book. So for that we'll say we have to create this object, our object, and then we'll say copy. Let me also copy this whole part. Copy. Oh, we'll paste it here. Okay, with open, what we want is we want this all books.txt, and we'll read it in a read mode, and we'll say Next, what we want is, we want, okay, we'll say for, what do we want? So let me show you what I want to do is, I want to extract the single book data. This data point I want to extract and store it in here. Let me remove this. So rather I can say, I messed this up. Let me get this correct. HTTPS. So we can remove this part only. And then we can say plus something that we are going to extract from this all books.file. So we'll say okay, we'll again say book list is equals to f dot read lines. So what this read lines function is doing, it is reading all this data and storing each of this element in a list as a single entry. Okay, so we have stored our books in our book list, and then we are going to say, we're going to, for book in book list, we'll iterate over it, we'll iterate over the list, and we'll say plus. So as we can see, this is the common part of the URL, and then we want to append this with this part, so we can open a particular title of the book. Okay, so we'll say book here. Okay, so everything is looking fine till here. So now our scraper is ready, and now we can see, or rather I should put it outside this loop. Okay, now we can say, so next thing what we want to do is, we want to extract these four things: the ratings, the genre of the book, the author, and the title. So for that, we have to open our console, and we'll see where it is stored. It is stored in h1 tag, whose id is book title. So let me first of all write a comment where we'll say, here we'll say 1 2 3 4 5 6. Here we'll say we want to extract book title, author, and next what we want is, we want ratings, and also we want to extract genre of the book. So these are the all things that we want. Okay, so how will we do it? We'll say soup, we'll say data, we'll store it in a variable which is a dictionary. So we'll say title is, we'll say soup dot find for a, when we are finding a single element, and find all when we want to extract all the element that we want. So we'll say h1 whose id is book title. So we'll say h1 whose, let me create a dictionary, whose id is, what is the id? Book title. I think this is correct, book title. Okay, and not only the book title, but also the text of it. So before doing that, let me show you how it is looking. I will say print, let me return this data, return data. So we'll run this function, get book data. Let me save this, and let's also not run this. because it is in a for loop. Okay, we'll correct that. Let me first of all show you. What is it? We are not running this function. Okay, let me save this and run again. So here we can see the title is extracted and the whole element with the tag is extracted. So what we want is we only want this part, the text part of it. So we'll say dot text. So this will only extract the text part of it. Okay, so next what we want to extract is, and before for loop we'll also say uh, all data. We'll store it in here. So data dot up, all data dot append data. So that's what we are going to do. Okay, and we'll return all data. All mhm, all data. That's what we are going to do. Okay, okay. So next thing what we want is we want author. We want author, and where is author? Let me open the console again and click this one and point it towards the author. So we can see author is stored in span element where auth item prop is name. So we can extract it like this, I guess. We can try it in on another one. Let me open the console by pressing F12, point towards the author, and we can see span is element is span and item prop is name. Okay, so we'll say soup dot find. We want to find a span element whose, let me create a dictionary whose item prop is name. I guess everything is correct. Let me again run this loop because we are just checking. We'll only do it for a single iteration, and let me check if everything is okay. Dict object has no attribute text. Why is that? Okay, we don't have, we here we want the attribute dot text is of this element, not this id. Okay, now let's run this again, save it and run it again. Okay, here we can see, okay, the title is this. What is this? Slash n. Okay, some spacing issues. Anyways, okay, so now author, it is also extracting this proper element. Okay, we can say dot text here also. Dot text, we also only want text. And next what we want to extract is we want to extract ratings. So ratings will be soup. Let me copy this whole part and paste it here. And for ratings, again what we have to do is we have to find where these ratings are stored. Okay, so rating is stored in item prop is rating value. Okay, so I just have to say rating value. Let me see the spelling is correct. Okay, so this V is in a capital value. Okay, let me quickly also say genre, and we'll simply paste this again and we'll say where, we'll see where the genre is. The genre is in anchor tag class action link and book page genre link. Okay, okay, so because there is so many genres but we only want first one, so that's why we are saying soup.find, so it will find the first instance of it. So we'll say anchor tag class is equals to action link book page. Okay, anchor tag, so the class is, let me copy the class from here. Okay, let me copy and paste it here. Okay, now everything must be good. Let me run this again and see what's the result. Okay, everything is looking pretty fine. Other than this part, we'll correct this in a pandas data frame. And okay, I'll break the loop and run it for all the books. So we can also say print extracting data for book. Okay, so we have to, this is not web scraping part, I'm just creating this for this idx. We have to say okay, first of all let me write this and run this, then I'll tell you what I am doing here. idx plus 1. Okay, so it should be good, and let me create, and we just don't want to return this data. And first of all let me run this. Okay, extracting book. Oh, cut. Mm-mm. What I want is this. I forgot to put f here. This is a f string. Let me run this again, then I'll explain what we did here. Extracting book for data. Extracting data for book 1. Okay, so what I was trying to do is, when we are extracting the data, while we are extracting the data, but for keeping track of where we are in the process of extracting data, I enumerated this book list, and for extracting, this is the book name and this is the id of it, so it starts from 0. That's why I said idx plus 1. So when we are on the first iteration, it will say extracting book data for book 1, and when we are iterating on a second element, it will say extracting data for book 2. So that's what we did here. And then we don't want to return data, but we want to, with open a file, we'll say result with result.json. We are storing everything in a JSON file. We'll say write, okay, as f, and then we'll say f dot write. And what we want to write here, we want to write all data. We want to store all data. So first of all, before storing it like this, we have to say, because it is a JSON file, we have to convert this all data into a JSON format. So first of all, we have to import JSON also. Import JSON. So here we are going to say, actually I'll tell you, at this part I almost wasted 2 or 3 hours because I was not able to store this JSON dumps, because I was not able to store it in a correct format. Let me show you. First of all, let me check if whether this is working or not. Okay, I'll say, let me not print this, but run it only. Okay, let me save and run. Extracting data for book 1. Okay, so it will, rather than doing it for all the books, let me do it only for a single book, so that we can see what's happening here rather than waiting for everything to happen. Extracting data for book one. Okay, everything is done. Results.json is here. Okay, everything is looking fine. So in the introduction part, I said it is important to store the data in a correct format. So why we are doing it? How this that point applies here? Because see, we are doing it like that. And next part, we know that we have to do some EDA part. We have to do some analysis on it, on the data. So how will we load this into a pandas data frame? So for that I encountered a method where we'll say pandas dot read json and we'll pass a orient is equals to record. So let me show you the practical implementation of it. I'll open a Jupyter notebook, and where our project is living E2E data science, and here we'll say a new notebook. I'll import, let me run this, correct this break, let me remove this break and run it. So while we are writing our import pandas as pd, and we'll say import numpy as np. Another what we want is no, we don't want anything. So we'll say data frame is equals to pd dot read json. So that's what we'll say, and we'll say what is the file name of ours. It is result.json. So let me show you what will happen. Okay, so it is extracting very slow. What I'll do is I'll copy the file that I already have. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so I'll open this file and paste it. Where is our, and I'll paste it here. So this is the similar data that I extracted earlier before. So I'll say final data.json. So we'll say some error here. We have not got any error, but let me run this. Okay, everything is working fine, fine. Okay, it is working fine. I was uselessly doing this. Orient is equals to record. It is similar also now. Okay, fine. I'm so much happy now. But I wasted almost 2 hours for it. Anyways, we have our data in a correct format. We just want to remove this slash and this new line character. So what we'll say is df book title. From book title we'll say dot apply. We'll say book title is equals to df book title, and what we want to apply some method in it, on it. Apply, what we want to do is we'll declare a lambda function, lambda x dot strip. We'll say x dot strip. Okay, now let's again print df dot head. Okay, so now it is correct, and let me also save it again. df dot to json. What will be our file name? Our file name will be cleaned dot json. Okay, so we have our data frame, and what we want to do on it, we want to create a recommender system. Okay, it is looking pretty good actually. So what we have here, okay, so till now we have seen we have scraped our data that we want and then stored it in a pandas data frame and do some pre-processing on it although not very much, but we have got to a point where we can build a recommender system and do some pre-process do some not do something but creating a recommender system and then using it for recommending books to the user by creating a web application. So that's what I wanted to say. That's it for this part. In the next part we'll create the recommender system. Everything is clear. Okay,